Today, we continue onward with the restructuring of this team. I think that's the best way to phrase it, as we are in the aftermath of a very eventful first season for Mike Milbury, the AI GM. Of course, the beginning phase of this offseason with the draft, making some moves, of course, just to try and get this roster to really make sense, to not have more players than we need, to just try and put this team on some sort of a path for as long as we possibly can. Of course, we ended up being stuck with some players. Thomas Greiss has to be on this roster. Ryan Pulock, of course, still here by choice, but Mark Borowiecki, Mark-Edouard Vlasic, these are players that we are stuck with. And of course, we're down Duncan Keith amongst other players because of that. Really only so much that we could do in terms of trying to make this work. But again, we're doing the best we can. So with that, let's get things going here, because I do want to sim a decent amount, if not all, of the regular season today. And we start things off in free agency, as we do have a little bit of cap space to try and make things work. Now, the most important thing here is that we need a goaltender. And I'm not exactly wanting to overcommit to Tuukka Rask right now. I'm thinking I'm going to bring Corey Crawford back. Of course, there are no limitations on how much money we can spend. Now, again, defensively, I don't think it really makes sense to bring in anybody, nor does it make too much sense forward-wise. Like Pearson and Stahl are looking for pretty good contracts. Jaden Schwartz, in particular, though, was someone that was pointed out in the comment section. I can't necessarily disagree with the thought of bringing him in, although you see what like Coleman and Spezza are looking for as well. Like I said, looking at this roster, forward-wise, do we have a little bit of space? Arguably we do, to bring somebody in. I'm going to give Corey Crawford about $3 million this year, though, so that leaves us with 5. I'm thinking Schwartz is probably a guy to go for, just to make the forward core a little bit better. That's if he's, if we're able to get him on a 1-year deal in particular, that's where it will make a lot of sense for us. Now, in terms of bringing anybody in here, Casey Fitzgerald, I'm sure that's who this is. He would technically be an RFA, but if we can pay him a decent amount of money, he might get better, and we could potentially get something out of that. Petrov isn't that good. We do need to bring in a decent amount of AHLers, unfortunately. Lawrence Pilot, look to bring you in. Just going to give him the max 2-way deal to try and make sure that he signs. Let's also go, Oscar Fantenberg works for me. Same thing. Sign him up for now. Mitch Reinke, we'll go with a 2-year deal, I believe, for the former Blues draft pick, if I'm not mistaken. Wasn't drafted by the Blues. Could have sworn you were on the Blues, Mitch. Could have sworn. Going to Elite Prospects right now because I want to be right. Please tell me that you were on the Blues. Otherwise, I look very, very foolish. He is currently signed to the St. Louis Blues in the AHL. There we go. I can just go ahead and prove that I have a talent or a knack for meaningless sports knowledge. Be impressed. We'll settle with those 4 for the moment. I think with Schwartz, it just makes way too much sense to sign him. It really does. So let's go and see if we can sign him to that ridiculously good contract. And we should be okay. Because, money-wise, it's going to be a little bit tight anyway. So Schwartz wants a 2-year deal. I am more than okay with that. If he's willing to accept this contract, I'll even bump it up to 3.5. That would be outrageous. I mean, really offering him any of these, contracts would be really good money for value, or value for money. So let's see, he'd be 32, 33, 34. Let's give him like a 3-year deal, a 3.5. If he's willing to accept that, that's a very good bit of business for us. So I did go ahead off screen as well and sent out offers to all staff members. I'm going to have to do a little bit of editing here and there once we hear back from people. But for now, the optimization of our staff until, there eventually comes a time where Milbury gets to ruin it, is currently a factor. Oh boy, I wish you could just... Yeah, and yes, for the record, that was Patrick Marleau, the Patrick Marleau who we brought on as a scout. Right now for the coaching staff, it's looking pretty good. Nobody's rejected thus far, which is tremendous news. So we are going to have a fantastic coaching staff. Very happy about that. Should make this team even better than they would normally be. In theory, of course, that's if chemistry works the way that we would all hope that it works, which, does it? I don't know. Some people have their doubts at times. Oh boy, there we go. We bring in another guy there, and we're good to go. Will we hear back from Schwartz today? Chris Kreider's been dealt to Anaheim alongside a 6th for Ty Dellandrea and a first-round pick. Trent Roenick signs on as a scout. I believe Corey Crawford signed as well while we were reading back that trade. And Anthony Potato signs, Crawford signs, Vandenberg, Pilot, Fitzgerald, Reinke. We haven't heard from Schwartz, who goes to New Jersey. Said I didn't offer him enough money, so that kind of sucks because we did. We offered him exactly what he was asking for, so cool beans, man. That's unfortunate, but we will live. So the goalie situation is going to be Crawford, Greiss, Subban, Lankin, and Peters. Delia, I believe it's Delia. We're going to go there again. Our defense is fine. I don't know if we're signing Dylan. But we have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 with Potato. Really, we're good on that front. And then forward-wise, we have our top 3, top 6, top 9. We could still look to bring somebody in, but we don't know how some of these guys are going to develop. And then Kayumov, Carpenter, Quinville. You can pretty much fill out the roster as it is. Same for the AHL, we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, potentially 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, potentially. A lot of junior eligible players, 5 exempt contracts right now. So let's go ahead and send out a couple of other minor league deals. For the most part, we're good to go. We are showing up on 46 contracts right now, but we should be okay. Ovi's still out there, but again, we only have $5 million. I'm going to go down to affordable. It's like Thomas Tatar, Soderberg, Spezza. Could bring Vinny Hinostroza back to Chicago if we wanted to. 20-goal season last year. Foligno, VC. I'm going to save money just in case. Just in case. I feel like that's the safe way to go. So let's go with two-way deals for the moment. Let's bring in... Who do we want to sign here? Let's go with Gustav Olofsson for the hell of it. And then for the forwards, let's look to bring like 2 other guys in. So Trevor Moore is available. I can't clear my throat. Unfortunate. Let's bring in Trevor Moore for the year. Valeri Nichushkin also available. I hate bringing in Valeri Nichushkin. Let's do it. I mean, Colorado's in... Was he an RFA? Oh, he is an RFA. Damn it, I missed it. So Jordan Wheel, Noshek, Tyler Pitlick, Joachim Nordstrom is also there. Who has the best face-off rating out of the bunch? Okay, it's going to be Noshek or Wheel. Wheel had to have played in the AHL last year. Yeah, he did. 57 points for the Laval Rocket. Let's go with Thomas Noshek because I feel like he fits into the bottom 6 a little bit better than the alternative. So that pretty much does it for free agency for us. Unfortunately, we didn't get Jaden Schwartz. We did get Corey Crawford, though, which is great news for us. I don't know which Johansson that is, but he and 2/3 to Boston for a 1st and a 4th. So there you go. Trevor Moore signs. Noshek. Olofsson. Like I said, our roster for the moment is good to go. TVR and a 3rd to Arizona from Los Angeles for a 1st. Good Lord. We got a deal for Joakim Ryan, which I'm going to reject. Our roster is pretty much set up. We're pretty much good to go. At least, I mean, good to go. I don't know if we're going to be good, as Trent Frederick is dealt to Minnesota. I don't know if we're going to be good, per se. But in terms of who's on this roster, what this team looks like, the pieces are pretty much already in place. That's not really a negotiable standpoint. Again, defensively, we have no choice. Borowiecki, Vlasic, they're going to be here. Whether or not Milbury trades them next year, I don't know. But if he doesn't, then the next time I get control, I have the ability to get rid of them, thankfully. So let's take a look here again at this roster. Let's see what we got. I don't know if we're going to sign anybody outright. We might not. So goaltending is going to be Crawford and Greiss. Pretty straightforward. We might as well. Yeah, Peters isn't really going to develop. We might as well just call up Subban, though, and then have 3 and 3. And that way, in case of injury, we should be fine. Defensively, it's Pulock, Mata, Boqvist is now a top 4. Borowiecki, Pilot, Seabrook. Now, Pilot we don't have to worry about. But Ian Mitchell is certainly going to play. And Marc-Edouard Vlasic's down to a 76, which is a nightmare. And then forward-wise, I got to send somebody down. It'll be Ryan Carpenter just until I figure out what the defense looks like. So Pulock, Mata, Boqvist, Borowiecki, Mitchell, Seabrook, and Vlasic. Damn. Who gets scratched? We have to play Mitchell. I feel like I want Borowiecki to be the healthy scratch. Because he has an easy... Yeah, his contract's up. We need Vlasic to play. We need him to rebound. And that way he's potentially tradable. Because if not, we're screwed. And we're going to have to buy him out. And I assume, actually really it's more of a presumption, that Borowiecki is going to be a problem when it comes to penalty minutes. So we're going to take him out of the lineup. These will be the main 6 for us on defense. And then again, someone like Dennis Gilbert was close to making it, but not quite there. And then for the forwards, we have our 10, 11, 12, and 13 with Nosek. So Fortin, Altai-Barmakian, and Carpenter are all kind of in the running, as is Mackenzie Entwistle. So the top 6, again, pretty straightforward, although Taves might be on the 3rd line, maybe Kubalik's in the top 6. But then between Sikora, Barrett, Moore, Kayumov, Quinville, and Nosek. Right, so we need players who are defensively responsible and physical. Sikora could probably get away with being a 3rd line 2-way. Barrett as well could get away with being a 3rd line 2-way, especially if we have Sikora and Barrett next to Taves. They should do very well. Trevor Moore, I think we're going to send him down. I like the other 2 offensively a little bit more. Yeah, I think Trevor Moore, despite being listed as a 4th liner, I don't really know if I'm going to use him. I don't really think I'm going to use him this year. Kayumov has to be a skill player. Has to be in the top 6. So letting him tear apart the AHL for the year is probably a good idea. Because I don't really feel, I don't really see where he would fit in the top 6 right now. So Moore and Kayumov are going down. Quinville can be on the 4th line. Nosek can definitely be on the 4th line. So out of the physical players here, Alex Fortin, again, really has to be more of a skill guy. And he's just not there right now. He can be kind of physical, but not overly physical. Altar-Mamakian, yeah, same thing. Has to be offensive, so we'll let him tear apart the AHL. Ryan Carpenter isn't the most physical player in the world. Like, the aggressiveness and the body checking, it's kind of disappointing. Entwistle arguably fits in even better. Not as good of a skater, but Mackenzie Entwistle could play. David Kampf, Kurashev. Entwistle might deserve the opportunity. I think we're going to go Carpenter and Entwistle, getting the call up. So that is our 10, 11, 12, and 13 with Entwistle. Carpenter could be the healthy scratch. We could run Quinville, Nosek, and Entwistle. I think that's what we're going to do. So Ryan Carpenter is going to be the odd man out. I am going to rework some of these player types just to make sure that we get the chemistry boost. Because again, my opinion, it's more than fair game to be able to say, hey, Nosek, be more physical. Be a grinder as opposed to a bit more, 2-way-ish. That's fair game. So it is going to be Let's take a look here, just to get you guys to look at what the lines are going to be, and that way we don't have to go over it again. It's going to be Quenneville, Nosek, Entwistle, all his grinders, Sakura, Barrett, and probably Jonathan Taves as that third line. Who has the better shot? It's Sakura, so that'll be the third line, all as two ways. And then, tough choice here as far as who's on the top line with Kane and DeBrincat. And I think it's probably going to be Strome. I think we're going to have Kubalik, Doc, and Nylander as the second line. Which, I mean, damn. This team, I mean, the top six is looking pretty damn good. You could make the argument of having Doc as a winger with Taves there, but that center depth is insane. You could also make the argument for having Kirby be the top line option, and I wouldn't totally disagree with it. But that 95 offensive awareness of Strome next to Patrick Kane would be absolutely insane. And then defensively, God, what do we do here? I don't want Seabrook and Vlasic on a pairing. That is not what I want. So what I think we're likely to do... Wow, Boqvist is looking like a beast of an offensive defenseman. Maybe. I think we have Boqvist on the second pairing. We have Pulock and Mata as two-ways. But then we have Boqvist and probably Seabrook? Boqvist as an offensive defenseman, Seabrook as a defensive. Which, in theory, gets us that +1 boost. I'm surprised it's not more. And then same thing here. Ian Mitchell as an offensive defenseman next to the defensive defenseman of Marc-Edouard Vlasic. I really like the look of that. I do indeed. So I think that's what the team is ultimately going to look like. Allow me to step back and get a bit of editing done to really optimize this as much as possible. And the team's good to go. And of course, Corey Crawford between the pipes. So I'll get you one more look at the final team right now, right about now. And we're good. We're back. This is the team now with everyone in their proper role. Solid, strong even. +3s for the top six, a +5 for that beautiful fourth line. We'll see how well they do. Defensively, +3, +1, +1. Pretty happy with that. And again, the goaltending's on point. The healthy scratches are in place. The power play looks to be pretty ridiculous. Pretty happy with that. We'll see what Adam Boqvist can do on that top unit. I'm expecting very, very good things, in fact. So excited to see what this team can do. I mean, despite the fact that Milbury made it so that I have to hold on to Marc-Edouard Vlasic and Mark Borowiecki, I'm only playing one of them right now, and we desperately, again, need to rehab good old MEV. I want to turn him into an MVP. That sounded better in my head. Point being, we could still be fairly competitive. It didn't make sense to tear the team down by any stretch of the imagination. We'll see what happens ultimately. By the way, in terms of captaincies and such, Taves, of course, still the captain. Kane with the letter. And, of course, Seabrook there with one as well. I was going to check to see what happened. Boqvist taking over the number 4. Perhaps controversial. Maybe not. Coaching staff as well, because I talked about it. Again, the power of handing out a shitload of money. But, yeah, both the NHL and the AHL coaching staff on point. Very happy with this, and hopefully we will do quite well. So with that, let's get this season sim underway. And what we kind of do throughout this season really is dependent on how well this team performs. Of course, in Season 1, I wasn't exactly expecting us to do overly well. We did incredibly well, and then crashed and burned in the playoffs, of course. But this year, too, it's a bit weird because, again, the third line could be better. The third line could have very well been Shaw and Saad next to Jonathan Taves. And there are some of you, I'm sure, that would probably say, like, oh yeah, no, that would be much better than what you have there, Toogie, and you probably could win a Stanley Cup with that top 9. And I don't totally disagree, Although, I think there's reason to believe that Evan Barrett could do very well next to Jonathan Toews this year, and that Dylan Sikora's at least okay. Very well-rounded. So, I don't know. We'll see how it goes ultimately. I didn't see too many complaints, if any, in terms of the decision to get rid of Saad and Shaw, even with Saad having the extension. Now, again, our defense is a problem. Our defense is a problem. I just wanted to get a quick look at the ratings there. We'll see how this goes down. I don't think, regardless, we were going to be able to do all that well in terms of keeping the likes of Saad and Shaw, bringing in big-time free agents. It's just not something that was going to happen for us this year. We beat Dallas 11-7, by the way. I turned down the scoring, so kind of surprised to still see it be this high. If it's ridiculous again, we'll tune it down even more, because right now it's absolutely insane. But again, we will adjust. Wow, Anthony Bitetto fits in on the second line as a forward. Go figure, huh? He fits in better than David Kampf does. What are the odds of that? But I think the big thing here, aside from the fact that we're going to lose because I noticed what our record is, with the Vlasic contract, right? That's the one thing I really wanted to do once we were locked into that brutal of a contract, is it's like, okay, wow, we just lost 3 in a row. That sucks. We were obviously then going to be a little bit limited in the money that I could spend. If I'm not mistaken, like Jeff Petrie was out there as a free agent. That was never really going to happen for us. There was only so much money, as Dominik Kubalik is out, that we were going to have available to us to spend, regardless of who we got rid of. Of course, we had, $5 million left in cap space. I don't want Michael Stone, thank you. Re-signing Pulock, getting him, or just signing him for the first time, getting Dominik Kubalik back and trying to rehab him after Milbury completely tanked him. And that did raise the question, and some people asked, hey, should you be allowed to manually sign someone like Kubalik because the AI often doesn't do anything? They'll sign them sometimes, and then other times they won't, and they'll sit there, which is why, Mikhail Sergachev is always an RFA at the end of season 1. Regardless of all of that, though, we're 18-5-1 on December 1st, which is fantastic. We have 2 games at hand on Minnesota as well. Patrick Kane, 37 points. He has 21 goals in 24 games. Good God. Let's take a look here at this team. So Kane is crushing it. Strome is crushing it. 30 points in 24 games. 33 points for Alex DeBrincat. On the second line, Ryan Carpenter is in. I forgot to put Kubalik back in. Damn it. I thought it was a minor injury for him. He has 18 points in 13 games, though. So he is doing very well. Unfortunately, I forgot it was a decent injury for him. I thought it was just a minor one. Kirby Dach, over a point a game. Alex Nylander, 27 points. Very good. Evan Barrett, 17 points, 12 goals next to Toews, who has 16 points. Is a -1, though. 10 points in 24 games for Dylan Sikora, which is very good. He's on more than the 30-point base, so that's very nice. Fourth line, Quenneville, 8 points, 21 penalty minutes. 11 points for Nosek, and 8 points for Mackenzie Entwistle. Not too bad. Defensively, Vlasic's been rebuilt. Yes, thank God for that. Ole Mata, 11 points. The penalty minutes are surprising with him, but a +28 next to Ryan Pulock, who has 23 points in 24 games and a +23. That contract's looking pretty good. Thank God. Adam Boqvist, 10 points in 24 games. Not bad. Next to Seabrook, who's doing well. +13, has 5 goals. 18 penalty minutes, though. Vlasic's not crushing it, but the overall's back up. Ian Mitchell's doing okay. All in all, very happy with what I'm seeing there. And then goaltending-wise, Crawford, 916, doing very well. Thomas Greiss, also been great. Hopefully Crawford doesn't pick up a long-term injury. And Ryan Carpenter, by the way, filled in for Kubalik very, very well. I'm not all that surprised that he did as well as he did. So things are looking very, very good for us right now. We'll see whether or not that continues as we prepare to head into the new year of 2022. So there you go. Corey's back to 100%. Very good news for us. We beat LA 7-6 in overtime. And Vlasic goes down to a minor concussion. He'll be out for 6 days. We got lit up by Colorado. I think I'm going to have to drop the scoring even more. Vlasic's back. Again, I don't mind some high scoring, but some of the results of these games, man. Borowiecki played 2 games, -2, 2 penalty minutes. That sounds about right. Here's the problem. I'm not in control over whether or not... Wow, Vlasic's morale really dropped just from missing. He didn't miss a game, though, like he was injured. I'm not in control of whether or not Mark Borowiecki ends up being re-signed. That's completely up to Milbury. There's nothing I can do. I'm not allowed to trade him this year. And I can only pray that Mike lets him go, which, you know, I'm sure Mark Borowiecki is a very nice man. But I could see him beating someone with their own shoe, a la Mike Milbury, so I can't help but think he's going to be sticking around. However, we don't have to worry about Mike. What we have to worry about right now is the fact that we have 23 wins, and we are currently on the best point pace in the Central Division, and by quite a bit. Patrick Kane is having a phenomenal season, 35 goals in 37 games, I believe it was. Indeed it is. Dylan Strome doing incredibly well, as is Alex DeBrincat. That top line's been great. Kubalik, 28 points in 26 games. Very happy with that. Kirby Dach's looking great. Nylander's looking great. Evan Barrett has 15 goals. Next to Taves, who's on 28 points. Dylan Sikora, still not doing that bad. You could argue there's room to improve that third line, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree. The fourth line's been great, though. Very happy with them. And again, Olimata's a +31 right now. Pulak's still almost a point per game. Boqvist not making the most of that power play time. 7 goals for Seabrook, by the way. Everyone's chipping in right now. Crawford at a 909. Ooh. Not allowed to get rid of him. Thomas Greiss not having a great season up to this point. We've only won 4 of our last 10 games. We will march onward, though. Let's sim to February 1st. And we'll see what the team's looking like, what the record's looking like, and really make a decision at that point as far as what we want to do when it comes to potentially adding to this team, which is a dangerous proposition, as Olimata goes down to a groin injury. So Mark Borowiecki is going to be on that top unit, and he immediately gets injured. Cool. It's always nice when your healthy scratch of a defenseman gets hurt immediately. Let's see who we can call up here, shall we? So to defense in the AHL, Lawrence Pilot. Come on down. You're the next contestant on Who Wants to Get Injured, because they're playing next to Ryan Pulak. Let's see what we can do here. Defense, please recognize the fact that I'm holding the right trigger. Thank you very much. Pilot, you are in the driver's seat. You see, because airplanes. And we can just leave that as it is. We're good to go. So let's see what happens here. Playing a pretty brutal Blue Jackets team. Back-to-back 7-6 results. That's pure insanity. Olimata is back to 100%. Let's get him back into the lineup, shall we? Good to go there. And then, of course, I'm going to have to edit that once Boro's back. We'll make the most of it. There we go. We knew that was coming. So, Lawrence Pilot, congratulations. You are being sent down, even though you're looking pretty decent. And he gets claimed on waivers by the Coyotes. That sucks. I'm not surprised, though. Again, not allowed, I believe, I guess really by rule. I mean, I could send down Borowiecki and hope he gets claimed, but I feel like that'd be the easy way out of, the rule of me keeping that player. So 30 wins as of February 1st. We are currently atop the Central Division after missing the playoffs last year. Game at hand on Minnesota and 3 points clear. Patrick Kane has 49 goals in 49 games. You say 50 and 50 is impossible, but hey, Cam Neely did it once upon a time. That's insanity. Strome's doing great. DeBrincat's been phenomenal. Kubalik, 36 and 38, which is great to see him rebound, although that overall it's plateauing from the looks of it. I mean, I'm happy with this team. Evan Barrett already has 30 points. You could make the argument that we should get rid of Dylan Sikora and bring in some extra help for that third line. Because Quinville, Noshek, and Entwistle is a phenomenal fourth line. So really, it's just, do I want to bring in help for that third line? Move Dylan Sikora to be the healthy scratch. Although, when Ryan Carpenter played, he was really good. So I gotta be honest, I'm intrigued to see what happens if we let Ryan Carpenter play there for the next couple of weeks. And we see what he does, how he does, and maybe that way we don't have to give up any assets right now. So I'm going to change him over to a two-way to see if we can get a boost on that third line. And we're going to leave it as is. And we might as well give him a chance. Now, the thing is, he was playing on the second line when Kubalik was injured. It's still worth seeing, though, if he can perform at a decent level. I mean, again, with this game, it's not always having the highest overall players all the time. Doesn't necessarily help. So it's an even rating. Carpenter, though, to keep track, has 11 points in 11 games. So we'll keep that in mind, and we'll see how he does. Defensively, I mean, Olimata, the penalty minutes are a bit concerning, but he's having a great year at a plus 34. Ryan Pulock is still great. Boakvist still doing fine. Seabrook still doing fine. This defense is fine. Again, I'm not sending down Ian Mitchell. Obviously, we want him to develop. So our defense is locked in. As unfortunate as that is, at this point, we're not getting rid of Brent Seabrook. I don't think we'd even be able to trade that contract. And he's doing well for us, which is nice, but I pray that he retires after this year. And then goaltending-wise, I mean, do we give up an asset to go out and get somebody? We could. We could. I'd have to add Malcolm Subban to the deal. We can see... You know what? Let's take a look. Let's see what's out there. Because when it comes to the assets that we have, our first-round pick is looking like it's not going to be as valuable, but we do have Anaheim's. Hopefully Mike doesn't ruin that for me. So I want to know what's out there. Again, I'm not limited in this series to only going after assets that a team wants to get rid of. I can trade for anybody, but obviously it helps if a team... Why the hell? Okay, they didn't draft that guy. It helps if a team wants to trade the player because obviously, you know, the value goes up for someone that a team doesn't want to get rid of. As Spencer Knight and Yaroslav Askarov are both on the block. Jake Allen, 909 in 13 games. Woohoo! Nope, you get to deal with that, Minnesota. Have fun. Carey Price is on the block. His overall is plummeting. Not going to bail you out of that one. James Reimer, Ullmark, neither are really going to help us here. The Islanders with Ilya Sorokin. Jonathan Bernier went to New York. Anders Nilsson. There isn't a high-rated goalie. Martin Jones, of course, yeah, he's still going to have that contract. I don't think I want to try to rely on Martin Jones. I think we are stuck with who we have. We are. It was worth checking. So goaltending-wise, we have who we have. In terms of the forwards, we're going to see how Ryan Carpenter can do on the third line. If he can perform at a high level, he stays. If not, on deadline day, we will look to see who we can get. Let's sim 2 weeks in advance. That gives us 8 games as Detroit fire their head coach. So we lose to Ottawa, but beat Boston, lose to Winnipeg, but split the home and home ultimately. We get crushed by the Rangers. Now on the road in Edmonton, it's a 4-3 win. Franz Nielsen on waivers. You know, I wonder how well he would do on the third line. Here's my fear. Mike might try to re-sign him. There's no way he'd get that much. I'm going to claim Franz Nielsen. No, I'm not. Just wanted to scare some of you. Couldn't help it. Although, yeah, we're not winning games right now. Minnesota is back atop the Central. Thomas Greiss is really struggling. Patrick Kane has 90 points in 57 games. Whew. I mean, it's not impossible. How has Ryan done on the third line? He's played 8 games, 2 points. He's out. We need a third liner. Goalie-wise, both are struggling right now, especially Grice. So let's try to see what's out there. We'll double-check again for goaltenders. Our defense is basically locked in. There's really no maneuverability there unless like Seabrook were to be a healthy scratch, which we can't do because there's no guarantees of him retiring. So we are going to check again for a goaltender. I was going to look at our roster first, but it's fine. One more look around to see if there's a goaltender, and if not, we're going to start looking for a third line winger. Dan Vladar hasn't been anything special for the Bruins. Malcolm Subban, of course, is an option as well. Jack LaFontaine, a prospect named Lemieux. I have no... Like, why on earth did the AI sign him? Why? No disrespect to Jonathan Lemieux, but I mean, really? Like, the AI should not be signing players of that caliber. They just shouldn't be, even to fill out their roster. I mean, Talbot and Howard. Well, at least Jimmy Howard has accurate numbers. Konovalov, Askarov, and Knight. Again, I think we're just going to have to settle. We're just going to have to settle for Malcolm Subban. Carey Price must not be starting games because his overall is plummeting. And that has to be due to the morale. How's Reimer done? Yeah, no, I think Malcolm Subban is going to get an attempt to be the backup goaltender. Bernier and Hutton haven't been too bad. Why they ended up in New York, I don't know. The Rangers don't have any of the three goaltenders you'd expect them to have right now. What the hell happened in New York? That is insanity. I mean, we can always double check the Rangers to see what players they have. Anderson, not exactly crushing it. San Jose with Anderson and Elliott. What the hell has happened in just a season and a half? Markstrom. Nope. Have fun with that contract. Good God. I mean, it has to be the stats mainly. Has to be. So with the Rangers, do you have like an ideal third liner? They are looking to sell. And they have a lot of dudes on expiring contracts, including Vinny Hinostroza. I could do the old Lee Stempniak special. So we could pick up Mika. Bushnevich is there. Hinostroza, Thornton, Sevier, whatever. I mean, getting Mika Zibanejad would be great, but we just don't have the value. Bushnevich there as well. What are we going to be able to do, and do I want to give up more than likely a first-round pick to do it? I really don't think I do. I really don't think I do. It's kind of a tough call, though. Forward-wise, I mean, we do have players in the minors that we can try to use. I mean, Trevor Moore as a third liner, in theory, would work. It would. Alex Fortin as well. That could work out. Altai Barmakian on the third line, probably not. Asking him to play a more defensive role. But more with that high stick checking. Fortin's also a great skater. I think I'd probably give Fortin... You know what? 50 penalty minutes. We'll take a quick look around the league. See if there's any trades that are worth debating. But I think just trying Trevor Moore or Alex Fortin, like, that's the best way to go. I mean, because really, who do we want to give up here? You know, we have Dylan in the system who's up to an 81. He's going to be signed next year by Milbury for sure. Who knows how long he sticks around for. I mean, McElrath and Tootin, both looking okay at this point. But in terms of who we want to give up, there really isn't anybody. Like Trevor Moore, I mean, like Marcus Tepley, the Tepley. Could give him up, like Kurashev as well, but there's really not a ton there. It's going to come down to a draft pick. Boston's second or our first is really what we're looking at. And for a third liner, when we have some players in the system, who could arguably work for that spot. I mean, yeah, like Lucic is there, Brady Shea, Nazem Kadri on an Nazem Kadri, Jesus. I mean, as long as he doesn't get suspended, Nazem Kadri on this Hawks team could be very interesting. And we have a couple of options. Wow, Seth Jones' morale is in the toilet right now, and he's on an expiring deal. Huh. Not to mention, Atkinson's morale is also in the toilet. But Connor Sherry, I don't understand how his value is so high. As is Boone Jenner's. He's on an expiring deal too. Boone Jenner would be a phenomenal pickup for that third line as well. So there are some options. Kadri's value is a bit high, but Boone Jenner? Gustav Nyquist? Like, we're talking tremendous middle six additions. Bjorkstrand would work too, although I used him in San Jose earlier this year. I don't really want to use him again. But Connor Sherry, who's a minus 40. Cam Atkinson has a bit too much time left on that deal, of course. But, I mean, we could make a play for Seth Jones. The problem is I don't know if Milbury would be smart enough to re-sign him. I don't know if he would be. But giving up our extra first to go out and get like a Jenner or a Kadri could be a tremendous bit of business for us. Edmonton doesn't really have anybody. Florida doesn't really have anybody. Los Angeles is trying to move Doughty. That's not going to happen. Carter, Brown. I mean, obviously we have an LA series going right now, so I don't really want to pick up any of those options. Paul Byron was there. Paul Byron's got to be better than a 78, right? 2 years left, no thank you. For some reason, they're playing him in the minors. New Jersey. We've used Gusev a lot. Schwartz signed that 2-year deal. They offered him so much. Just like a tiny bit more than what we managed to get. So apparently Schwartz doesn't fit in like tremendously well. On the third line at least. But I mean, again, for a middle six edition, he'd be insane. Also available, Mike Hoffman, Zach Hyman. There are a ton of good players who would fit in so well on this team. It's pretty ridiculous. And then again, I love Mika, but he's a bit too high valued. But even someone like Vinny Hinostroza, talked about him earlier, he'd be a tremendous addition. Brodin, CC, Zaitsev, yeah, no thanks. Jake Voracek, not on an expiring deal, but his morale is in the toilet right now. Pittsburgh not getting rid of anybody. Brent Burns, Tyler Bozak. What did they sign Bozak to? I mean, there are certainly options. Matt Nieto, Braden Point. No guarantees, though, that the AI would be smart enough to retain him heading into next year. I think that's too big of a contract situation to leave up to fate with Milbury. So we have a lot of options. Again, Nazem Kadri, with his point total, looking pretty good. Of course, stat-wise, we know he fits in well. And actually, here, let's take a look. So with Nazem Kadri, fits in well in the middle six, fits in on the penalty kill, which is great. Boone Jenner, of course, the plus-minus is going to be terrible. He only fits in on the second line, so Kadri might be a better fit. You could look at Nyquist point totals. Nyquist doesn't really fit in with our head coach, though. Connor Sherry, okay point total. Not exactly a great fit for the third line. Again, I'd love to try and pull off a coup to get Seth Jones. But do we trust Milbury? And especially knowing that Jones doesn't fit in on our top pairing perfectly, that's a bit of a problem. Just to double check back here. Edmonton didn't have anybody. Florida didn't have anybody. It was Minnesota. Nope, it was not Montreal either. It was the New Jersey Devils. So with Schwartz, we don't really know how well he fits in, but the assumption is that, you know, he's not going to be like the best third liner for us. Mike Hoffman's having a bit of a rough season. We don't know how well he fits in. Zach Hyman, who we also used for a bit in the Shark series, we don't really know how well he fits in either. And again, we can make a move, or we can go with some of the younger talent that we already have. So Mika fits in on the third line, Bushnevich on the third line, Joe. I mean, Joe Thornton might kind of be the player that we need. Colton Sevier there as well. You know, bring in a veteran presence with Jumbo. That could work. And then Tyler Bozak, we don't really know how he fits in. So there's no guarantees of anybody that we get kind of fitting in perfectly well on that third line. But there's also no guarantees that they'd stay there. So it's not the worst situation in the world. I'm going to leave it up to you, though. I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what you think. Do we go for anybody, or do we just trust who we already have within the system to get the job done? And in the next episode, I mean, at this rate, we're going to be a playoff team, and we will be following along in the first round unless the worst case scenario happens and we manage to miss out. But some promising signs with this team so far. I thank you very much for watching. Of course, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, you know the deal. Support the video, support the channel. If you wish to, beyond, of course, what you've already done, which is giving your very valuable time to me, and I am greatly appreciative of that. Check out everything in the description as well, if you care to. All the socials, Twitch, Discord, and of course, Patreon. I love my patrons. I love you so much, and I will see all of you in the next one. Until then, have a good one. Take it easy. Bye-bye.